All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Blackbird. Today, we're wrapping up our discussion and our research and thoughts about the N word and the use of the word nigga in pop culture and socially. So we're doing our wrap up on that topic. As always, I am Megan. We got Ashley here with us. Micah's here. Elizabeth's here. And of course, Joe. Before we move on and get into it, Micah's got some housekeeping stuff.
Hey guys, so there's a link below for the Facebook group, which Megan moderates. So if you have any questions or comments, Megan is there. She will talk to you. This is our third video in this series, our third and final video. So if you want to go look at the other ones, there's one on history, and then there's one sort of our opinions of use of the word. And they're all on a playlist if you want to check those out.
Yes, and also, if you are coming through just finding us on YouTube, awesome. But you can also find the videos are posted on the Facebook page as well. So you can comment under there, or you can make your own post, whatever you want to do, just as an FYI. All right, so let's do this. Our wrap-up video on the N-word. So we have a lot of conversations in between and before we video and after we video, and sometimes that doesn't make it into our discussions, but we're going to try and tap on some of the things that maybe we talked about that didn't get into our last video or any of the other ones. So we had discussed the I would say disingenuous. Is that the word? I feel like that's the word. Disingenuous apologies that you hear when a white person is. I feel like the only word you can use here is caught. When a white person is caught using either ER or GA. And some of the apologies that you hear and kind of why those apologies are wrong and not acceptable. So, excuse me. Let's talk about that. Micah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, when I was doing some research, I found the story about Michael Richards, who played Kramer on Seinfeld, who was essentially really busted. He was filmed in a club, yelling at some hecklers, and his apology was, "I was just so angry that the words just flew out." And we were talking about this. It was like, that is not the word that you jumped, that a normal person jumps to. There are so many other words that seems really you're just covering your ass. Like, it's really disingenuous. So we had talked about that one. Ashley last night was talking about the sportscaster that just recently, last weekend. If you want to talk about that, Ashley.
Yeah, he was, it's somewhere in Oklahoma. I don't have all the details, but he was basically announcing for a younger girls basketball game, and one of the teams decided to kneel during the anthem, and basically he went off. These were teenage girls, very, children. They were children. And he, oh, those fuckers, I hope they lose, and this and that, and then went on to drop the N-bomb and literally thought that the mic was off. And when probed and asked about it, he literally blamed his diabetes. He says that his sugar spiked, and when he has issues with his diabetes and things like that happen, that he is known to say derogatory, demeaning things. But again, that hey, you're talking about children, baby children playing basketball. It cannot be that serious. It's not the first time you've used the words if you're directing that comment towards children, literal children.
Yeah.
Literal children. it probably won't be the last time he uses it, but it definitely wasn't the first. Like, diabetes doesn't make you racist. That's not one of the side effects.
Right.
I think that's one of the upsetting things about it is like, we know the apology isn't genuine because we know you're a racist, like, and you're just covering. It would be better if you said, I have a problem with racism and I'm working on it, or like, quite frankly,
which
if
is
they
okay
just
to
said,
say. It's better to say. People would be more understanding if they would just be honest about it, but they feel like blaming their Ambien or their diabetes or like whatever.
Ambien, that was Rosie O'Donnell, right? With the Ambien.
That was Paula Deen.
Not Rosie O'Donnell, but the other. What's her name? From the back in Roseanne.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah.
No, I was like, Rosie O'Donnell is. No,
sorry, Rosie O'Donnell. I did not mean you. If anyone is watching this, I did not mean her. My brain spaced. I meant
Roseanne. I believe Roseanne. It was the Ambien. She said that it was the Ambien.
Ambien that made her, and it was on like, wasn't her thing? Like, didn't she type it out?
I think it was tweets. It might have been tweets. Yeah.
Like, if you can, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I know Ambien does crazy things, but like, if you sit there and type something out, there's intent there.
But also, like, Ambien just doesn't make you do things for the first time.
Right.
It's not the first time she had used the word. Exactly. Just people need to be more realistic about how humans work.
Yeah.
And understand that humans weren't invented last year. Like, behavior is the thing that's pretty commonly and universally understood.
Well, and I think what is like really the problem is like somebody used it, right? Somebody came up with this like, oh, I can blame it on blah and get away with it. And now everyone thinks that they can blame it on whatever. And I think all of us as a society be like, no, like that's not what happened. Like, you have issues with race and that's why you said these things. It wasn't your diabetes, your high blood pressure, MS, any disease, narcolepsy, whatever you want to blame it on. Not any of those things. Like, you have a problem with race.
Yeah.
And you should just say that. Like, does it suck? Yes. But at least you're getting some kind of genuine apology. I feel like when you like,
I think in profile cases they have publicists
in the right direction.
What were you saying, Joe?
I think in high profile instances where they're caught, they have publicists and things of that nature, and it's all I don't want to say cover up, but like damage control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's the term that they use, and for anybody to think that Ambien or diabetes is acceptable for the use of the hard R in referring to anyone, as we've already stated, you've that's a part of you. That's a character thing, and just admit that, and hopefully you're genuine and seek to acknowledge and move forward and be better. But a lot of the times they're comfortable in their own skin and they just got caught, and they'll continue to be comfortable with that in their private settings or what have you, wherever, like me using the GA with my people or whatever, I'm comfortable in that setting, although I'm comfortable wherever. But that being said, as we've illustrated, shouldn't be a word to be used by anyone on the hard R. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And if you're using it, you've got a comfort level, and that's not your first time and probably.
Also, I feel like with higher profile people, you're talking about the handlers and everyone trying to make sure that they continue to get paid, because with Roseanne, she lost a multi-million-dollar deal with the show. That means her agent, all the people she was working.
Everybody lost that on that paycheck.
So of course, so everybody wants to do the bare minimum and doesn't want to admit any guilt in that way, because then they're guilty. But as long as it's like, oh, I'm sorry or whatever, it was this, it wasn't me, there's still that chance, that holdout chance that people are gonna retain those contracts and people are gonna still keep getting paid.
I feel like, though, I guess, like, for me, it's like you're already fucked, right? Like Roseanne, like, Paula Deen, all those people, right? You get caught. Like, you're fucked. You're fucked. You got caught. You said it. You're fucked. So I think at that point, like, for me, I think the way to save face or to, like, whatever, is to make a genuine apology, right? And not blame it on something else. Like, when I hear you blame it on something else, that is like that, like, what is it? Like abusive relationship. It's your fault I hit you, right? That is what that sounds like to me when I hear those apologies. It's like, it's not me, it's you, It's not me, it's this thing. And it's like, no, it is you.
This reminds me of like small children who will blame anything and everything else so they don't get into trouble. Like, grow up, be an adult, accept the responsibility.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this what happens to kids who, like, because I mean, yeah, that sounds like my philosophy as a kid. Like, when I got caught lying, like, I would immediately fess up because it's so embarrassing to get caught lying. But that's not how everybody does it. Some people just keep on going. And I assume it's because, I mean, I'm sure there's factors, but, like, yeah, they, like, I would assume also, like, big actors and big names, like, don't get held accountable very often.
Of course not.
So might as well just say, like, you might as well put off one more thing as, like,
do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So had y'all heard, there's, I can't think of the young man's name right now, but he's a NASCAR driver, white guy or whatever, and he was doing the Twitch stream on his practice.
Yeah.
They have their, like, pseudo car in their home where they can practice and all that. And he was just doing that, whatever, and he used it in a general non-intentional way. He did, like, the NIGGA or whatever.
Okay.
He used that, and I guess he was comfortable enough with his circle to say it, so I guess it slipped, if you will, because he caught up in the moment or whatever. I don't believe this gentleman to be racist or what have you, but he was suspended, I want to say, a few races or whatever, and he owned it. He's like, I shouldn't say it, and I apologize that it did come out. It is a comfort thing with my circle or what have you, but that doesn't excuse that I said it, and he owned it, and I think that's, he did the right thing having made that mistake. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think another reason why some of the other high-profile people can just do I can only say blase apology, because it's just like, let's just do this and get it out there. I apologize, and hopefully people will move forward, because we're in a society where on to the next thing, kind of like here recently it's been very much so, very, I don't want to use the quotation, but I'm gonna do woke, you know what I'm saying, where people are looking for these things and drawing more attention to it. But, and I hate to use this I'm not trying to use this in a context of it's the same or what have you, but like with the unfortunate school shootings and things of that nature, it happens, everybody's sad, thoughts and prayers or what have you for that week or two, and then people move on with their lives. And it's just like with gun control issues or what have you, it's a big thing then, and then it blows over, and then it goes away to an extent. And then, unfortunately, it happens again, and all those same things, and it's that cycle. And I think in these instances of getting caught using either the A or the hard R, I think that they're trying to play that aspect in game. Let's put out a control apology release real quick, and then
we'll hope everyone forgets.
Yeah, just let it die down, and then we'll come back. Now, Roseanne got screwed. Michael Richards got screwed. Like, I ain't heard Michael Richards since. Like, he That man, I hope he made enough money from Seinfeld, which I'm pretty sure he probably did. But that being
Yeah,
said,
he hasn't worked since it happened.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
nobody
he's
is
single, no stand up,
untouchable,
no acting, zero
right?
jobs.
Untouchable. And Roseanne, kind of the same way. On a different aspect, Louis C.K., with his Me Too thing and his business,
Oh,
he is doing work again or what have you, independent wise. But that's a nut. He didn't use that word, but I'm just saying in the aspect of moving forward, I guess his kind of died down, and some of these other people are trying to play that same aspect.
Hmm. That makes sense.
I think the story about that driver is sort of a good segue into the second thing that we wanted to talk about, if that's
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
So we also wanted to talk about the sort of the casual use by white people, the casual use of the N-word because they think it's okay, and how like they believe that we live in a post-racial society.
Right.
And this isn't an idea I came up with myself. It's actually something I read about when Obama was president. He was on a podcast, and I just want to read this quote real quick. Racism, we are not cured of it. And it's not just a matter of it not being polite to say the N-word in public. That's not the measure of whether racism still exists or not. It's not just a matter of overt discrimination. Societies don't overnight completely erase everything that happened 200 to 300 years prior. And I that sort of hit me really hard, that some people believe that things are better. And then it's okay to use these words because racism doesn't exist anymore.
Right. And I think yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And I sort of learned that I think when George, no, it wasn't when he died. I think it might have been Fidel Castro, when he was shot. I posted something on my Facebook, and someone made the comment it's just gotten so much worse. It never used to be like this. And I was like, no.
No, it's always been like this.
It's always been like this.
Oh,
it's
you
always
meant
been like
Philando Castro. Or
Philando.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's never been like this. Why is it suddenly so bad? And I think that's a lot of white Americans are dealing with that. Why is it suddenly so awful? Why do we suddenly? And I think
no, it's just now, just in your face.
right, because now it's in your face, and now
everyone has a camera on them, right?
Yeah.
We're capturing
Right.
more of these instances.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think definitely that goes to, I think the reactions that you see to the gun violence by police or whatever is definitely because now you're seeing it. Black America knows that it has been going on for a very long time, that it never.
Yeah, you can't sweep it under the rug anymore.
Right. But I think a lot of white Americans truly believe that these things didn't happen anymore. That
Right.
we didn't see them. And now you're seeing them and reconciling that with this world that you have lived in, this bubble that you've lived in where you haven't had to deal with it, is really hard. And I can understand that. But I think though or however, when you see it, you have to acknowledge that it is happening. You can't just but no, this is a one-off. It's not a one-off. None of it is a one-off, and we don't, like Micah saying, we don't live in a post-racial society. It's still there. That's why Black Lives Matter is important. That's why all of these things, these movements, voting rights and voting restrictions and all of these things are so important, because it very much is still happening. It is still going on. I hate to use the word struggle, but the struggle is still real. It is still happening. People are still fighting for equality and equity underneath the law, and that translates. Sorry, I might have gotten off topic there. That does translate into this belief of I live in this bubble, and in my bubble, no one I know has ever been hurt by a police officer or had to deal with this, and therefore it doesn't exist. Therefore, there is no racism because I'm not racist. So if I hear this word in a song, I can say it. It's simply not true.
I think another aspect on that, going into the pop culture and maybe music and stuff, and white youths using this word indiscriminately or what have you, which is, a lot of them embrace the hip hop culture, and you hear it over and over uh, by the rappers that you look up to, who most are black or whatever, but then you want to emulate that because there's a lot of I don't know if they're white per se. I don't know what their cultural or ethnic backgrounds are. Maybe they're Spanish, Latino, otherwise, but they look pretty white to me, is what I'm saying. And they're using this. They're using the term as they were from the hood and are in the struggle, which is clearly not the case or what have you. And I don't care if you are from the hood as a white person or whatever, and you're down with everybody else. It's still not a term that you should use, even in the communal sense, because you're adopting part of our community, but that doesn't mean you are in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, stay in your lane, know your place. I hate to say it like that, but just
but I think a lot of it is like, I think it's cultural appropriation, right? And I think a lot of American culture, especially pop culture now, is appropriated from Black culture.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it's pop culture and, like, I can wear my pants below my waist, halfway off my butt, then I can use this word. It's like, no, like, it doesn't work that way. But yeah, like I was thinking about that the other day. It's like that's really what it is. It's like as a white person or a non-black, if you think you're it's cultural appropriation. It's not your word. It's not for you to use.
There's also like words have a lot of meaning, and that word is so loaded.
Yeah.
And like just don't use it. I think Joe in the last video said something about like even if your black friend like gives you permission, don't do it. Like maybe with that one friend, but like never with anyone else. And probably not with that friend either. Like I would never be comfortable.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of it too, because like, and I have heard that excuse from, like we were in a bar, we were with friends, a good friend of mine's friend was over there, nigga this, nigga that, da 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 da. He's a big Hispanic guy, maybe. He might be white. Maybe he's white and Hispanic. I don't know. He's definitely not black. And like I went over there, I'm like, hey dude, like we're all like hanging out, having a good time, and like we're amongst friends. Basically, we're like, think of it as like a party situation, not like at a bar and I don't know these people. Like I know these people. I am near enough to them, and I'm like, hey, like it's like it's offensive to me for you to be using that word, and I would like you to stop, or at least like calm it down. And the reaction was from my friend, not even from the guy, from the person that I know personally. He was like, oh, it's okay, he thinks he's black. I'm like, but he's not. You are missing the point. He is what I don't care what he thinks he is. He is not black, and he can't use the word. And I think a lot of that is like the case. Well, like so and so thinks they're black. I'm like, but you're not. If you haven't gone through the struggle or the life or the situation or the racism, or I think there's a lot of, again, like cultural appropriation. It's like you want all the cool stuff, but you don't actually want to be black. You just want all the stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't do that, especially with this word. You can't do it.
Right? It's like I think I'm a billionaire, but if I write a billionaire check, my bank account's gonna say something different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, that's just, I guess, that's my point of view, opinion of like using it. And I think, like we were talking about the Twisted Tea video when that popped up and was going off on the social media. And like as I watched that video, like I got angry as well with that the black gentleman in the video. But in my head, I was like, I bet money that man, the white guy, was like, I bet you either he's got a black friend who told him it was cool, or he listens to a lot of rap music and he thinks he's down. And like he learned the hard way that no, you're not.
And the whole point, he was given so much leeway. It's like, yo, just don't use it. Be about your business, get your stuff, and leave. He had to be confrontational, and I don't know. I think I can say for everybody that a big smile came across my face when he got smacked. I was just like, yeah, karma, yay.
I don't normally watch videos where someone gets beat up, but I watched that one and I was like, you got what you deserved, sir. That was totally warranted. But anyway, moving along. Any other points of view about that? Cultural appropriation, the use of the show?
Yeah, I think our general consensus and a pretty popular opinion is that if you're not black, don't use the word at any turn, any version with anyone. To make that crystal clear, don't do it.
Don't do it. I wish I could have somebody on like one of my Facebook pages like made up a little Dr. Seuss rhyme. She was like, don't use it in your house. Don't use it with a mouse. Don't use it on like, yes, ma'am. So, anybody else? I think we're sort of final thoughts here. Is there, Micah, was there anything else on our list?
No, I don't think so. No.
Well, although I don't use it as much, I'm still going to use the colloquial term. And it is two separate words, within the community or what have you. The hard R, man, yeah, not putting that out there. You know what I'm saying? In any aspect, the hard R is just no. Nope. Shouldn't do it. I don't care if they are using it in the literal sense of ignorance or what have you. That's still... because there's so much, as Micah said, so much background and history to it that it's not a good thing. Hard R.
So that did remind me. So we were briefly talking about like historical literature, like historical plays. Mm-hmm. My feeling is like in a play or in an old movie or in a book, like I think at some point people wanted to edit it out of To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm like, no, like that is how that book was written. You can't edit it out. So I think if it is a historical piece, or it is a work of nonfiction, maybe that's how I should phrase it. If it's a work of nonfiction and it is clearly being used for a purpose, then I can understand it. I might not like it, and I'm probably not supposed to like it, right? Like if I'm hearing it in a play, it's supposed to make me feel some kind of way about the person saying it, right?
I think that's an interesting thing with... Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Like with TVs, movies, plays, like they only have so much time, right? So like all of the words are very important. So like you don't want to use something gratuitously, and it needs to like drive the character, drive the story forward. And I think in instances like that, where you're like, it's either historical or you're like, that guy's an asshole, that character's an asshole, and he is because he used that word. That makes a lot of sense, and you need to be or the people who write these things, very judicious about how they use it and when they use it.
Yes.
I can think of one person where I think they did it appropriately and where they was way gratuitous with it. Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction. I think that was
I knew you were gonna
appropriate in that aspect. The pawn shop settings, particularly, because it goes into the ingrainedness of the rhyme or whatever. Catch a nigga by the toe or what have you. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and the whole Marcellus Wallace thing in that aspect, and then the way Samuel L. Jackson wasn't overloaded or anything. It's just used in context and the situations. I was like, all right, no problem. Django Unchained, like, bro, I mean, yeah, they used it a lot, but come on, man. And I love Tarantino and what he writes, but it's like, are you just do you have like a certain quota that you need to just get off your chest, bro? Because why do you have to put that in there? As you said, Mike, I don't think it furthered the story or impacted it that much to have it used in that particular movie so much.
I'll say, yeah. Like, I think, well, for me, that whole movie was hard for me to watch, personally. Like,
I actually like the movie, but,
I like it, but it's not my favorite Tarantino movie by a long shot.
Yeah. Another one is Rosewood, which is not Tarantino, but that is that was the era. I guess Rosewood, Roots, other things of that nature. That's the era, and it drives the story. It is what it is. But going back to Django, that was the era. But I don't even think that. I bet a massa back then would be like, man, you really use that word a lot.
So yeah, sorry. As Joe was speaking, I remembered that we wanted to hit on that, and as sort of a wrap up, or like my kind of wrap up, as far as something that we all learned while we were doing some research and looking at this stuff. I'm sure a lot of you know the rapper Eminem. He is not always politically correct. He does not always have something, I would say, intelligent to say. But he has never used it in a rap song. And if Eminem knows better, then you should know better.
That legitimately blew my mind when you told me that.
Can we put that on a shirt?
If Eminem doesn't use it, you should use it.
If Eminem knows better, you should know better.
Yes. So that's sort of my final thought. Anybody else final words? I can't see you.
No.
Oh no.
Okay. I didn't realize you couldn't see us.
Sorry, my computer does weird things, and a lot of times I can only see Mike out.
Oh no.
But anyway, so cool. I hope you guys enjoyed our talk. I hope you learned something from our other two videos. I hope you got some insight on this video. As always, hit us up if you've got questions, you want to talk. We're all here on YouTube and on the Facebook. This is stuff that is worth talking about. If we don't talk about it, how are we going to fix it? So, yeah. So hit us up. Let's talk. As always, this is Blackbird. Don't be a racist and wash your hands.